Okay, awesome. So happy Thursday, everybody. Hopefully we can wrap this up with a fun one. But today we're going to be having an interesting conversation about how Web3 can unfuck AdTech. So just to kind of kick things off here, I'd love to get a show of hands. Who here hates ads? Awesome. Okay, great. Well, for everyone who raised their hand, fair enough. You guys have good reason. Ads kind of suck. From opaque targeting practices to some of the more intrusive ad experiences, the current state of affairs leaves a lot to be desired. Advertising infrastructure is not in the best place. For me personally, it's the spam in my email inbox or some of these pop-ups that I just can't seem to run away from on an ad or on a web page. So the question has to be asked, how do we fix this? And we think Web3 can help, but I think it's first important to have a little bit of background. So just a little bit about me. My name's Thomas. I'm one of the co-founders at Relayer, a Web3 native company building advertising infrastructure for the new internet. A better way to connect people to brands they love directly in the apps they use. But long before I was ever in AdTech, I was a crypto native that bought the top in 2018 and never left. So like you, I very much loved my crypto bubble and also very much hated ads. At least I did until I took my first venture-backed startup role at Card Financial. So Card offered rewards as a service in the form of these wallet-linked offers, the debit card and credit card cashback experiences that you might get in some of your favorite cards on the market today. While I was there, I worked with some really amazing brands powering a lot of awesome reward experiences, from Varo and Green Dot through to players like Robinhood and Coinbase that you might know a little bit better in crypto. But at the end of the day, we were essentially focused on building amazing, rewarding experiences. In fact, it was an extremely important part, almost table stakes, of every card product on the market today. Something that consumers expected. And led to this sort of a unique conversation that we're having today. You see, card rewards are table stakes. If I went out and I told a business, do you want, or told a user as a card, do you want to earn rewards from brands? Most definitely, you would probably say yes. And the market sort of shows it. Businesses like Amex and Chase Bank are the most successful card programs on the market at the moment. They focus entirely on building a rewarding experience that's native and personalized. But if they had gone out and asked, do you want to see ads, I expect that most people would probably answer the way that you all answered today, saying no. So why is that? Because whenever you pull back the curtain of the catchy buzzwords and phrases, they really are just advertisements. They're funded by brands that want to meet users in a unique way, get them to convert on behaviors, and even use rich personalized insights to help make the experience a little bit better. What it comes down to is that our brains like to think in a really funny way. You see, whenever we give a name to something, it really hurts our ability to think about it. You see, the stated preference that you all gave me here today is that you hate ads, but the revealed preference that we see on the market with some of the more successful financial applications is that whenever they're rewarding, you actually really like them. In fact, they're a primary decision maker for the way you go out and choose the debit card or credit card program that you might be interacting with. You see, we have this interesting dichotomy where some of the most well-used Chrome extensions today are ad blockers, but we also see that loyalty and reward programs are the biggest influential points for the average consumer on where they take their business. And it's not too surprising whenever you see a word as heated and controversial as the word ads. Our brains really would rather just think or believe than just think. We'd rather believe that we like rewards than think we'd ever like an ad. But whether you still feel like you might like ads or not, it doesn't really matter. Ads are the dominant marketing form and dominant monetization form of the internet. You see, these banking applications aren't integrating ads at the end of the day to make a more interesting consumer experience for you. They're integrating it as a way to monetize and drive more meaningful and sustainable revenue into their business. It's ultimately the end game for every modern consumer application. Everything is becoming an ad network, whether it's your social media app, your banking app, or your grocery store app. The implementation of these ad networks can lead to huge revenue. We're talking more growth, more engagement, and ultimately still a better experience for everyone. The classic example that we like to use is Instacart. They launched their debut ad network in 2022. And overnight, in 1 year, generated $740 million in ad revenue, a 30% increase in their total ARR in 1 year alone. So it's no surprise that applications might be interested in implementing this type of decision. And although it is happening in Web 2 and we're seeing it everywhere, Web 2 isn't alone. Unfortunately, Web 3 isn't a special snowflake. Ads run the internet and they're coming to Web 3 as well. With the consumer landscape finally beginning to take shape, it's leading to some really big questions. How do brands meet customers? How do platforms monetize? And ultimately, how do people discover things that are getting built and implemented? We've seen a lot of interesting implementations, from copycat Web 2 banner ads to the attention tokens, to quest sites, to even life-changing airdrops. People in Web 3 are in the arena and they're trying things. The question isn't really will ads persist, the question is honestly how. But the stated and revealed preference have given us some excellent insights on how to build these better building blocks for ads. You see, what we've determined is that ads need to be built as net positive consumer experiences, transitioning them from bugs and into features. We know that human attention needs to be rewarded, not exploited, that they need to be built for people, not for impressions, and that ultimately personalized experiences will lead to better experiences. And that's really good news for Web 3. Web 3 offers some really great ways to enhance all of these initiatives. Ownership distribution that's so native to the Web 3 environment will develop core alignment mechanisms between advertisers, publishers, and users. And this shared ownership and control will create a lot of trust and engagement, ultimately resulting in new layers of opt-in data frameworks. And blockchain transparency will enable advertisers and publishers to engage users in hyper-customized and interactive ways, ultimately making it a much better experience for you. But on top of all that, it's a lot bigger. It's a fresh start to build a system for everybody. You see, when Hotwire.com slapped the very first ad banner on their website in 1994, they weren't implementing it as a feature. They were implementing it as a bug, a way to compensate a gaping hole in their ability to pay money to their writers for doing content work. Web3 is a fresh start, a chance to go down a new path, a path to coordinate for a more human-centric experience, a valuable experience, not a embarrassing experience for a bad Web2 ad that you don't want to see. And that ultimately comes down to the best way that Web3 can fix ads. Web3 makes a better coordination model. A quote that we really like is that when societies want to build schools and hospitals and infrastructure, but instead they build guns and bombs and planes, it's because they can't effectively coordinate together and disarm. This quote from Amin Soleimani at Moloch DAO is highly aligned, and although it may be a little bit violent, it's applicable. You see, advertising has still been a exploitative and unfortunate model that has caught a crossfire for people in the middle. A Web3 forward approach will allow for us to shift from these more top-down coordination structures and closer to a more frictionless market and decentralized network, one that will allow us to springboard towards a better path for everybody, not the best path for the Web2 data oligarchs of Google and Facebook. So we've talked about what ads need to be and the direction we want to go and how Web3 can help, but what does that actually look like? What do better Web3 ads mean? Well, one model that we really love is a term that's recently coined by Olaf Carlson-Wee from Polychain Capital. Olaf talks about this idea about the incentives vortex, a new layer of consumer infrastructure that's embedding pre-existing application feedback loops with a new financial incentive backbone. If you add the word brand funded in there, it sounds an awful lot like ads. But if you're like us or most people in the market, you don't want to use the word ads, so we'll go with incentives. This solution specifically is the thing that our team at Relayer has been building towards for over a year. And we'd like to share a little bit about how we're thinking about it. And the approach we're taking is that of the Wayne Gretzky game. For those of you that don't know, Wayne is a famous hockey player who's most notably known for his quote, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." And we definitely think Web3 needs to take a shot at building a better ad system. But more importantly, we like the quote that a good hockey player goes where the puck is, and a great one goes where the puck will be. And we've been lucky enough to identify this incentives vortex, this better solution to ads that could happen and could create a better internet for everybody. And we've looked out 30 years and we said, how do we get there? Thankfully, Web3 has been identified as this favorable exponential that will help us accelerate and get there much quicker. So what's the earliest form of this thing? that is the app-linked offers experience that Relayer has been so focused on building natively for Web3 to begin embedding as consumer infrastructure continues to grow. An inflection point that will allow for us to accelerate and go to the next level, not only building better ads in Web3, but proliferating them externally into the broader market. That inflection point is extremely exciting, where we're no longer focused in the ad tech sector on the irrelevant ups and downs of optimizing for clicks or impressions or customer acquisition costs, ultimately ads that are bugs, and moving towards an era where ads become optimized features that improve your product, not only allowing for you to be more viable and sustainable, but also allowing for consumers to consume in a more personal and rewarding way. That relevant thing is something that we're excited to continue building at Relayer, and we'd love to connect further to share our vision and how we're continuing to develop that. We'd also like to shamelessly plug at this time that we are hiring, so if you'd like to come build with us, please come reach out. Thank you.